This is lesson 4 in Domain 8, Animals and Habitats. Now, so far we learned that a habitat is a specific place or region where plants and animals can grow and survive. And we've also learned that these plants and animals need adaptations in order to live in those habitats. And those adaptations are simply changes that have been made to that plant and animal over a specific period of time so that they can live in that place. We've learned that some animals that live in colder climates have a lot of fur and have a lot of blubber to keep them warm. We learned that animals in hotter climates have lighter colored fur to keep them cool. They have bigger ears to keep them cool. So all these adaptations help that animal and that plant survive in the habitat that it's currently living in. We also learned about 3 different habitats that we're going to get into right before we start this reading. But first I want to talk about what you'll be able to do at the end of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to explain key parts of the grassland habitat that you will learn about today. And you'll also explain how animals have adapted or changed in order to live there. So what kinds of things have they been able to do, have they been able to change in order to survive in the grassland habitat. Now before we get started, we always have this vocabulary. The first vocabulary word is coexist. And that means to live peacefully together at the same time or in the same place. The next one is hardy, able to survive in unfavorable or harsh conditions. Predators, animals that hunt and eat other animals. Prey, an animal that is hunted by other animals. And prickly, which means small and sharp. Now, so far we've learned about a few different kinds of habitats. Right up here we've learned about the Arctic that actually had 2 different habitats in there. We've learned about the Arctic tundra, which is the land, the snow, the ice, and we've also learned about the Arctic Ocean, which is the water habitat. Both are very, very cold, both have a lot of snow and ice, and both are very hard to live in for humans. That's why animals who live there have a lot of hair, they have thick hair, they have blubber to help keep them warm. We also learned about a habitat right down here that was a desert habitat. Now, the specific one we talked about was the savanna, but we did talk about how there are other desert habitats throughout the world. Just the specific one we were focusing on during our read aloud was the savanna. And we talked about how that is very, very hot. It has very little rain and it has a lot of sand. So animals and plants had to have different adaptations in order to live there. The habitat that we are going to be talking about today in this read aloud is right over here in Africa, and it's going to be a grassland habitat. So we're going to learn about the grassland habitat today, learn about the different kinds of animals and plants that are living in that habitat. So Rattenborough, our main character, is going to lead us through this reading of the grassland habitat. Rattenborough, your intrepid or fearless adventurer here to show you something a little different. We've been talking about habitats, the places where plants and animals live, and we've spent time in 3 of the most extreme habitats in the world: the freezing Arctic tundra, the Arctic Ocean, and the scorching Sonoran Desert. Now I've come to a habitat that should be of great interest to you. Some of the most famous animals in the world live here. Welcome to the East African savanna. Savanna is another name for grassland, a wide open, vast stretch of grass-covered land. You know you're in a grassland when there's a lot of grass around you, but not many trees or bushes. The East African savanna has very warm weather all year round. However, it only has 2 seasons, the rainy summer and the dry winter. The plants and animals that live here have had to adapt to these 2 very different kinds of weather in the summer and winter. Luckily, I brought my umbrella in case it starts to pour. Boy, I can hardly see anything in all this tall grass. There's so much of it. As the name grassland suggests, grass is the most important plant growing in the savannas. The grasses are very hardy, which means that they can survive the tough conditions of their habitat, long spells of dry, hot weather, as well as heavy rainfalls and flooding. The grass has adapted to these conditions by growing very deep roots. Even if the grass above ground is destroyed, the roots underground survive and the grass can grow back. This grass grows very quickly, as much as an inch per day. The grass in your backyard might take a whole week to grow an inch. Yikes, I'm surrounded by hooves! That's because grass is food for many of the larger animals, like elephants, zebras, gazelles, and antelope. They chew on grass all day long. I don't think grass is all that tasty, to tell the truth, but these animals depend on the nutrients in the grass to survive. It's all they need to eat. It would seem that because so many animals eat the grass in the savanna every day, there wouldn't be very much grass left after a while. But remember that this grass grows back very quickly, so there's usually plenty for the different herbivores like zebras and antelopes to eat. Grass is not the only important source of food in the savanna. Many animals get their meals from the acacia tree. Giraffes, with their long necks and tongues, are able to eat twigs and leaves from the top of the acacia. Not only are giraffes' tongues long, they are also very tough. It's a good thing too, because the twigs of the acacia tree are covered with sharp thorns that the giraffes eat along with the twigs and leaves. Elephants eat grass, and they like acacias too. They rest in the acacia's shade and eat the acacia leaves, branches, and seeds. They even like to strip off the bark and chew on it. I think this acacia tree might be great to climb and get a better look at the savanna, but don't forget that it's covered in prickly thorns. Ouch! Acacias have adapted well to their habitat. Acacias have small leaves that don't dry out as quickly as larger leaves would in the dry, hot months. The roots of the acacia tree grow very deep in the ground, which allows them to collect water far from underground when there is not much rainfall. And their sharp thorns help keep some animals from eating too many of the branches. These trees are right at home in this habitat. Animals living in the savanna have adapted to their habitat in many ways. Some animals, like the giraffe, have long, powerful legs so that they can quickly run away from predators, animals that hunt and kill other animals. Their long legs also help them travel long distances searching for food. Can you imagine a rat like me keeping up with a giraffe or a zebra? Not a chance. Now, there's a little bird that's been sitting on this giraffe the whole time that I've been watching them. This is the oxpecker. Oxpeckers perch on the backs of large animals. The oxpecker will use its sharp claws and hold onto the giraffe, who will hardly even know it's there. The giraffe and the oxpecker coexist. The oxpecker feeds on the fleas and ticks living on the giraffe's body and warns the giraffe of any predators that might be trying to sneak up on it. In turn, the giraffe will let the oxpecker live on its back and provide the oxpecker food, like fleas and ticks, shelter, and protection from predators. The oxpecker will spend most of its life on the giraffe's back. What a partnership! So here I am, back in all this tall grass, and I bet you recognize the black and white stripes of the zebra I've just run into. Zebras are specially adapted to living in the savanna. They have strong, long legs that make them very good at outrunning lions and other predators. And the stripes on the zebra's legs and body don't just make it look pretty, they camouflage the zebra against the grass so that the predators can't see it. Zebras eat the grass on the savanna, so they are herbivores. Over there, I can see the largest land animal in the world. Can you guess what it is? This African elephant is very big and eats up to 400 pounds of trees and grasses every day. That's about the same amount as the weight of 9 first graders. African elephants are adapted to the hot weather in the savanna. They have huge ears that they flap like fans to stay cool and keep away bugs. They also have thick skin that protects them from branches and thorns. Do you see the trunk on that elephant? An elephant uses its trunk for all sorts of things. The trunk is, of course, the elephant's nose for breathing and smelling. But the trunk is also used like a hand for lifting things, gathering food, and even holding onto other elephants' tails. Baby elephants, or calves, use their trunks to grasp other elephants' tails to keep them from wandering away from the rest of the herd and getting lost. Elephants use their trunks to drink water. They suck up the water in their trunks, and then they put the water from the trunk into their mouths. They also use their trunks like a hose for showers and playtime. These animals are lions. Lions live in groups called prides. The females, or lionesses, do most of the hunting. They are carnivores that hunt zebras, elephants, and all kinds of other savanna animals. Most groups of lions have just one or two male lions. The male lion is huge and incredibly strong. It has a furry mane, powerful jaws, and fearsome claws. Unless this lion meets a stronger lion, no other animal in the savanna habitat can match the lion's strength and power. Animals that are hunted by predators are called prey. One of the lion's favorite prey to hunt and eat are zebras. Zebras try to use camouflage of their stripes to hide in the grass of the savanna so that the lions will not see them. Up at the top of this tree, I can see and hear birds that are waiting for their lions to finish eating so they can have dinner. These birds are called vultures. A vulture is a scavenger, which, as we have already learned, is an animal that eats leftovers. All of the animals and plants you've learned about so far are part of something that we call a food chain, which is illustrated in this image. What do you see at the bottom of the picture? It is the savanna grass. The arrow points from the savanna grass to the zebra because the zebra eats the grass. The next arrow points from the zebra to the lion because, you guessed it, the lion eats the zebra. The next picture after the lion is a picture of the soil because eventually the lion dies and its body becomes part of the soil. Then more grass grows out of the soil, and that starts the chain all over again. Next, I think we should head to a habitat that's a bit closer to home and explore some plants and animals that might look quite familiar to us. But for now, I'm going to check out more wildlife. See you later. So in this lesson, we learned all about the grassland habitat. If you need to review any part of this lesson, please go back and do so. If not, go back to Seesaw and complete the activity there.